Hello. All right, let's get started using Photoshop. The first thing you're going to do when you open up your Photoshop application is say create new. Now this is for the first time ever that we are going to open this up. So, well, in this class. So what you're going to be doing is we're going to set up a document. First thing you want to do here is we're going to ignore a lot of this over here. We're going to set up our own document using our own setup. And this is for the Evidence of Self project, which is a 12 by 18 inch piece. First thing you want to do though is make sure over here that you are in the print category. Sometimes if you start out in the web category, it will limit your choices over here on the right. So we want to make sure we're in print to start out. And then we're going to come over here to this right-hand side column and we are going to set this up. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you change the name of the document. This is really important to make sure that your name is in the document. So we're going to start out last name, first name, and then we're going to call this EOS for Evidence of Self. So White Valerie EOS. Okay, I'm going to put a number 2 on mine because this is the second time I've done this, so I just know which one was what. Your last name, your first name, and then EOS. Next thing you want to do here is set up your width and height. Number one most important part, make sure you pick inches. If you go with pixels or picas, you're going to end up with a piece that's like super small. So make sure you do inches, and we are going to set this to 12 by 18 inches, and we are going to check our orientation here. I don't care. You can go vertical or horizontal. It is up to you, whatever way you would like to do this, okay? 12 by 18 inches, whatever orientation you want. Resolution, we're going to go 300 ppi or 300 pixels per inch, all right? And then here under color mode, you want to pick CMYK. Now, we did talk about this in class. We talked about the difference between CMYK and RGB color. Why would you pick either one of those? And let me just tell it to you quickly here. RGB stands for red, green, blue. CMYK stands for stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. The K is for black in this situation because if it was a B, we would think it meant blue. So we are going to pick the CMYK. Does that sound familiar to you in any way? CMYK? It might, because CMYK is actually the colors that are in your printer. So if you've ever bought printer ink or seen what the printer ink says, it's cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So CMYK. If you are using an LED screen, like you're presenting something or you're only making it for the web, then you would use RGB because that's the color of the LED lights that are in your screen. So we are going to pick CMYK for this because we are hoping that we'll be able to print these by the end of the semester. Now, one other thing to note about this, and that is, yes, it will limit your color options on the program. If the computer thinks that you are going for print, it's going to give you the colors that it thinks can print. If you are going for digital, it will give you different colors. For example, maybe like a neon green color. A really, really, really intense neon green is only going to show up in an RGB situation, not in a CMYK, because you cannot print neon green if there's no neon green ink. You can come close with like a lime color, but it's never really going to truly be neon. So that will limit those colors. So we're going to go CMYK. Our background here is going to be transparent. And you can leave these two things alone. It should look like this, working CMYK and square pixels. And we are going to say create. This will give you here, this window. It will either be vertical or horizontal, whatever you picked. And the other thing that I wanted to just do really quickly here is review our workspace. Okay, this is your workspace. And I'm just going to kind of go through some of the parts of the Photoshop workspace as you see it right now. First of all, when you first come to yours, I'm going to click this box up here on the top right, that way, I guess. And it looks like this, and it says Essentials. And if I say Reset Essentials here, it's going to pop my whole workspace back into the default for Essentials. This is good to know because you may need it if you ever get a workspace that just is out of control, super messy, Or sometimes what happens is you lose something. You're like, where did my tools go? They're gone. You can always go here and say reset essentials, and it'll kind of pop everything back into default mode for you. But you can also fully customize your workspace. So if you want to, you can do whatever you need, and then you can save it here under new workspace. And that's why mine says Miss White right here, because I have my own default workspace that I like to work with. And this is what it looks like for me. I've got my layers here. And I also actually probably do want my properties tab showing. So what I'm going to do though, is I'm going to go into Reset Essentials. I don't want to reset Miss White. I just want to go essentials and go from where you guys are at. So here you are. What I want you to do is I want you to go through all of your windows. Now these things over here are all windows. Okay. That's what they're referred to. And you could see a list of all the windows that you could potentially have by looking underneath the word windows here on your screen. So it says window. These are all windows you could have up. So we're looking at like paragraph is a window, right? I'm going to close all the windows I don't need. So I'm going to click on this little drop down menu right here that's on the top right hand corner of this window. Click it and just say close or close tab group if you want everything under the group to close. So I'm going to close some of these, close them out, and I'm going to leave open my layers window, my properties window, and my learn window. Close this. And I don't even need this libraries window. I'm going to close that for now. So I have this learn window over here. Now, if you don't have that learn window, you should see the option to get it under window here and under learn. If you don't, I did have one student who said they weren't able to find that learn window. So I'm trying to figure out why. Some people have it and other people don't. But there's your learn window. And now you have properties here. Adjustments, I'll close that for now. We can always get that back. Oops, I accidentally closed both. But that's fine because I can get it back. I'll show you how. So I have my layers open now. And I have this one, which doesn't look like it's anything. But if you actually click on it, it is your history. So I'm going to pull this history tab on top of my layers tab here and let go so that it puts them together in a tab group. And the other thing I need is properties. So I'm going to go window, properties. So now I'm going to put properties on top of those two and get rid of just adjustments. So now they're all three, properties, history, and layers are all in big long column. And I need that because I like all this space to use and to view. So layers here, history, properties. So I'm going to have my layers open right now. This is where you should be at. If you did that along with me, great. Another thing to note, on the left-hand side, you have all these tools. These are your tools. Every tool has a little doohickey down in the bottom, right? I'm trying to point to it. The bottom corner right here. They all have this little white arrow. That indicates that there is a stack of tools. So if I was to hold down, say on this rectangle right here, you'll see that there actually are other tools underneath that tool. So know that there is more than meets the eye here and in everything in Photoshop, okay? But in your tools particularly, you can check these three little dots right here, and this allows you to edit your toolbar if you want to change or pull more things in or more things out of your toolbar. You can by editing it there. This is your color choices, your foreground and background color. And up at the top of your bar here, it looks like there's nothing there right now. But if I select a tool, so I'm going to select the brush tool, for example, here. By the way, you see these things popping up? These are really handy. These are the same as what's over here on the right. This is like opposite. All right, it was over here on the right, your learning tools here. So you can use these. We're actually going to look at these on Thursday. They're very helpful to go through and just kind of practice using the tools by using these little tutorials. They're great. So we are going to pick the brush for now. And I want to just show you that the top menu bar changes depending on what tool you're on. So I just selected brush, and now my top toolbar applies to the brush. So you can see now that if I click on this where it says 90, I now have size options for my brush. So if my brush is here, I can make it bigger, smaller. I can also do that with my bracket keys on your keyboard that are right next to the letter P. Your bracket keys can make it go bigger, smaller, okay? Or you can change it here. Your hardness of the brush. And so right now it's at 100% hardness. So you can see if I was to draw a line, it's like, you know, if I change the hardness of this all the way down to 0, you can now see what happens. It's like a soft, almost like an airbrush or like a spray paint can or something like that. All right. You can change your color if you double click on this square over here on the left. And you can pick any color you want in here and then pick any color you want in here and say, okay. And you can draw with another color on top of other colors. You can change the opacity of the color. So it's not 100% opaque. You can see there it's like fuzzy and faint. Opacity is the same thing as transparency. So it's like how much it's see-through. You can change your flow, the smoothing, all these other things. Don't really use those that much, but they're all options that you can have when you're changing your colors in your paint. So that is how you kind of navigate the top bar with your tools and your layers. Now you can see here that your layer is completely messy because I've got all the scribbling on here. So if I wanted to clean that off, I could do a couple things. One, I could look in my history and I could go back step at a step at a step at a step at a step to the beginning and start there. Or you can delete the whole layer itself, just delete the layer. So I can just drag this layer into the trash can down here at the bottom of my layers panel. Or the very least, I could take my selection tool, any one of your selection tools. I'm going to take this big rectangular marquee, grab everything that's here and just push delete. Now, I did have a little bit of a weird moment earlier today where I was not my layer was not selected. So you can see with the difference between what it looks like when a layer is selected and when it's not. If it's not selected, even though you've dragged your selection box over the item, when you push delete, nothing happens because the computer doesn't know what you want to do. So you have to say, I want this layer and I'm selecting something on this layer, and then you push delete. It knows what you want and it's delete it. Okay. So you can just clean off that layer and then Command D to deselect. Again, Command D to deselect something once you've selected it with the selection tool. All right. What we did then next, okay, that is the kind of overview. We then brought in 2 images. Okay. So there are a couple ways to bring in an image into this program. I'm going to show you 2 different ways. One is you can drag and drop. It is definitely the easiest way to get, images in. The problem is when you drag and drop images into the program, you have to have them downloaded onto your desktop first. So that puts an extra step into the process for you, because if you have your stuff already on Google Drive, that's great. But then you have to get it off of Google Drive and onto your desktop. And that means your Citrix desktop if you are using Citrix, not your Google Chromebook desktop. If you're using a different device, it's fine. Use it on your regular desktop. But you need to have them downloaded. Once they're on your desktop, so if I took like one of these images that I have here on my desktop, this way, it's so opposite and weird. Okay, this way, I'm pointing up there in that corner. I have a image of some bark. So I'm going to pull that, boom, pull it right on there, and there it is. And it's going to ask you to confirm. So right now it's pixelized. As soon as I choose the checkbox, it says, okay, good, you're good. And it puts it on there and it's not pixelized anymore. And there it shows up in my layer. And I know that it's there as a layer. If I was to drag a separate thing in, you can see here, now there's a separate layer. Okay. 2 layers now I have. So I just pulled 2 images in. The other way to pull an image in is to bring it in a different way. You're going to say File, Place Embedded. I want you to place an embedded image into this piece. Okay. Now this is the part that may change if tech gives me what I want. And that is the ability here for you to access your Google Drive. Now, right now you don't have this because if you're on your Chromebook, because the Chromebook won't let you download the app that you need to back up and sync your Chromebook, your Citrix desktop to your Google Drive, but I'm working on it. If that comes through, you will see Google Drive right here as a choice in your favorites, and you can just pick straight from your Google Drive. For now, it does not let you pick straight to your Google Drive. So you still would need to download those folders or files from your Google Drive to your Citrix desktop for now, okay? So you would have to go to your desktop and find the image that you want to use and then say place, and it will pop that right on there, okay? Again, I'm working on the Google thing. I'm hoping it comes through. And again, I say confirm. So now you see I have 3 images. Now I can't move them around because every time I try to move them around, it tries to put this selection box on. Command D to deselect. I need to use this tool right here, which is called the move tool, or you could push the letter V to get to it very easily. All right. That allows me to move my different layers around. If, say, I wanted the bark to be in the front, I would just pull this layer to the top. And now it's in the front. Whatever's on the top is in the front. So if I wanted Bjork to be in front, I move her in front like that. If I wanted to scale them up and down, you grab this corner and you can scale it. If you push Shift, it allows you to warp it, which we don't really want to do, but it is a thing. If you don't see these blue bounding boxes here, all you have to do is at the very top when you're on the Move tool and you select it, make sure that it says Auto Select and it says Show Transform Controls. Make sure that that is clicked that way or checked. That way you can actually see these controls and use them. Okay, every time you scale this thing up and down, it's going to ask you if you're sure, and you're going to say yes. Okay, that's as far as we got today. Bringing images in, playing with layer order, scaling, and the last thing we did was I pushed spacebar here. If you push spacebar when you have, when you're close up on something, the spacebar allows you to move. I'm just clicking and dragging and kind of moving my screen around, which really helps if you're really far, zoomed in and you need to get into different areas. By using the spacebar, it allows you to move around really easily. So it's really handy that way. And I'm zooming in and zooming out with my trackpad, which you should be able to use on your Chromebook as well. You could also hook up a mouse if you want to it. Okay, last thing, saving. Okay, saving is crucial. So you're going to say File, Save As. Always, always, always say Save As, not just save. Okay, if you just push save, you're not going to know where it goes. So you want Save As, and it's going to bring up this pop-up window. Yours might look a little different being on a PC, but it's generally the same. First thing you want to do, check it. Did you name it correctly? Does it have your last name and the name of the piece? If you didn't, now's the time. Name it, name it, name it. Second thing, where is it saving? Okay. If you're putting it on your desktop, you may not know where it goes, but you may be able to put it straight into your Google folder if this tech thing comes through. But for now, put it in your desktop, and then you can move it into your Google folder after that, since we can't do that all in one step right now. Okay. Don't just let it go. So your downloads or something, and then you don't know where it is. I was talking about, like, if somebody gives you your favorite pair of socks ever, and then you just throw your socks behind your bed, instead of putting them in the sock drawer, you will never find your socks again. So always make sure you just check it. Where is it going? Okay. So this is going to my desktop. And the last thing I always check is my format. Okay, right here, your format right now is a Photoshop document because that's what you're working. It's an in-process document, right? So your Photoshop. But if you want to save it in different ways, you have other choices here. These are non-editable choices though. So you would not want to save a file unless you were done as a JPEG, right? So right now we are formatting as Photoshop because we are in process. Layers, yes. Embed the color profile, yes. Say save. And it's going to ask you, are you sure? And you say yes. Now you know that you just saved that file to your desktop, and you can go to your desktop, find that file, and you can, I'm going to go here to my Google Drive, I can now take that file straight from my desktop and pull it right into my Google Drive to back it up. Okay. I cannot stress that enough. Make sure that you are backing up your work to your Google Drive. Right now, it's an extra step. You have to move it from the desktop in and then download it out. To download, by the way, you click on an image and you can just click this download button right here once you open the image, or you can select multiple image by holding Shift and then you push Alt. If you're on the Chromebook, you push Alt and then click, or if I'm on a computer, a different kind of computer, which I'm on, I'm doing Control click, and you want to get up this pop-up window and you're going to say download. You could download 2 at a time. So you're going to download them onto your desktop to use them in the file, and then you're going to pull the file back into Google Drive to back it up so that you can access it from wherever you're at. I know that last step of saving is a little bit of a pain in the butt right now, downloading and saving, but I'm telling you, it's worth it to just make sure you're doing it so you're not losing your work as we start getting really into this, okay? All right. That's what we did today. Any questions, let me know. I will see you soon.